Alright, let's go. Woo!
Alright, let's take a look at our weather forecast today.
Today's forecast, a lot of sunshine, blue skies, marine clouds. Just a perfect day to go outside and relax. That's your forecast. We'll be right back.
Yeah, sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, about to get away. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me cause I'm gonna be on break. Sunny day, make way. All the stress and doubt, yeah, not today. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me cause I'm gonna be on break. Got the Tropicana, fresh cut sushi on a platter. Brandy, honey, it don't matter, shots. Till I drop, gonna be 24/7, golden hour like a boss. And they say, yo, guess you got a 2 o'clock appointment for a champagne shot, oh yeah. I'm busy trying to take it higher, got no time for never, only spending cheddar. Wish I could do this forever. Chilling with the hottest company, they all wanna welcome me to their private penthouse suite. Yeah, now I got the key. Rooftop pool, got a heli on speed. Ocean view from the highest peak. I'm complete, oh, I want this to stay. Please don't go away. Yeah, sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, about to get away. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me cause I'm gonna be on break. Sunny day, make way. All the stress and doubt, yeah, not today. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me cause I'm gonna be on break.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Hamakua Homestead. My name is Tiffany, and here on this channel, I'm taking you along for all of the adventures here on the ranch. Today, we are under a tropical storm warning. What does that mean? That means that there's a tropical storm somewhere close by, and it's raining. That's what that means. So, we are going to be making storm-worthy recipe, beef stew. I am going off of a recipe from a website called thegratefulgirlcooks.com. It is a very basic recipe. I wanted to do one that involves diced tomatoes, tomato paste, something like that to go along with it instead of just water or broth in with the vegetables. I've done that one before. It's good, but I wanted a little bit more flavor. So I decided to go with this one. It is fairly simple. We have our carrots, onions, celery, all cut up, ready to go. We've browned our meat. So now it's time to put it all together in one pot and make it turn into stew. I did not add any broth or water or anything to that meat. That was strictly liquid and fat from the beef itself. Now, the reason that I chose to use this beef, which is on the tough side, is because it's a rear roast from one of our bulls. He kept getting out of line, walking through fences, no good. So, the meat is a little bit on the tough side because he wasn't castrated, and so I'm going to use that cut for our pressure canning recipes. So we have browned our beef, which is the first step. I think we're going to be a little heavy on the vegetables this time as opposed to the beef, but that's okay. We add our celery. I turned the heat on. It's kind of on a medium low at the moment. A bunch of carrots. 2 onions. The recipe says 2 cups of diced tomatoes, but I'm using home canned ones, so I'm going to do 2 quarts. Did you guys hear how good that seal was? Oh, yeah. These were canned a year ago from the greenhouse, of course, which is amazing. I forgot to mention, I am doubling this recipe. The recipe off of the website does 5 quart jars. I'm not saying that's what we're gonna end up with because I always alter things anyways. So I am doubling this recipe, just so you know. I'm supposed to be adding a beef bouillon cube to this, but I think I'm just going to substitute for home canned beef broth. I'm doing 1 heaping tablespoon of salt. Like I said, I can't stick with the recipe. I'm adding chives because I want to. 1 teaspoon dried thyme, 1 teaspoon dried oregano. I am a fan of a lot of garlic. This recipe is telling me to use 1.5 teaspoons, so that's 1 tablespoon for this whole big pot. No. And 1 heaping teaspoon, 2 heaping teaspoons of black pepper. Next thing on the list to do is to add water all the way to where everything is submerged. However, I am going to use broth instead. I'm using our home canned beef broth. I canned this 2 months ago. So we have our broth all mixed in. The instructions say to go ahead and bring this to a boil and then take the boiling liquid and vegetables, put it into our jars, which means I need to get our canner ready. Our canner is getting hot. Our stew is already hot, so we're going to start ladling our stew into the jars and place them directly into the canner. This is a very hearty stew, so it's going to be very, very chunky. I'm trying to get a decent amount of potatoes, onions, carrots, and meat, so that one jar doesn't have a whole lot more than the others, yeah? One thing I did want to tell you, I ended up adding ground mustard, and I also added apple cider vinegar. I feel like the vinegar just brings out this savory flavor. So I did alter the recipe for sure, but I didn't deviate too far. Now we filled up our jars with the solid contents, and also of course much of the broth got in there. So I'm going to go ahead and fill them all up to a 1-inch headspace and debubble. We want to make sure we get the air bubbles out. I'm sure there's plenty of air trapped in underneath all of this. Make sure it's still at a good 1-inch headspace. I'm using white distilled vinegar to clean the rims of my jars because there's a lot of fat, salt particles, little pieces of thyme. You never know. You want to make sure that that all comes off. We go ahead and put our lids on. our rings and into the canner. When all is said and done, we ended up with 2 canner loads. We ended up with 7 in this one and 6 in this one. They are both hot, they're coming up, they're gonna do their thing. I'll show you how they are when they turn out. So our stew has been pressure canning for a full 90 minutes in both pressure canners. We have a total of 13 jars. We're gonna go ahead and open them up and see what we have. Just kidding, it's still too hot. I'm gonna leave it like this for a good 5 minutes, just to let it come down a little bit slower. Yep, they're still piping hot and boiling, so we're gonna leave them like this. We'll be right back. Okay, we've let them vent for a little bit. Let's go ahead and see what we have. I'm still trying to figure out, if you guys have any comments about this, let me know. I'm still trying to figure out if 2 smaller canners is more efficient or better or worse in any way than the 1 big one. Because each of these can hold 7 quart jars. The big monster one that I have can hold 20 quart jars. And it takes forever to come up to pressure, and it takes forever to cool down. So I'm still trying to figure out which is the better option. If you guys have anything, let me know for sure in the comments below. I'd really appreciate your feedback. Looking good. One more thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys noticed, those of you who are new to canning, I am using both wide mouth and regular mouth jars in the same canner, in the same batch. It does not matter whatsoever. That one's looking good. Let's open this one. I have a little bit of broth in the water in both, so there's a little bit of siphoning, but it doesn't look like anything too serious. Everything is looking pretty good. I am very pleased with our 13 jars of our stew. We don't see any major fails. They're starting to do their pops and their pings, so I'm super excited. I'm gonna go ahead and let these sit on the counter for the next 24-ish hours, and then just wash them, label them, and put them up in the pantry shelf. Thank you so much for joining me here today on the Hamakua Homestead. I'll see you again soon.